I remember shooting her a long text message, just sharing from my heart. Like, yo, I take responsibility for the demise of our marriage.
Yeah.
I was not the man that I should have been in our marriage, because of X, Y, and Z. I apologize for any hurt, pain I caused you, and I just started running down the list, right? No response. Then God was like, screenshot it and send it to, your pastor, who's Tim, send it to Tim. Shout out to Tim Ross.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And so I screenshotted it and I sent it to him. And that was in the morning. By that evening, he sent me a voice note. And he said, bro, this is what you feel that God has told you to do. Then you need to tell her in person. Dre, what's up, man?
What's happening, brother?
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Feeling straight. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for being here and welcome to the Rooting for You podcast.
Let's go.
First official installment. And there's nobody that I would want to do this first episode with more than I want to do with you. So you already know we've been rocking for a minute.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? We've been locked in. We've walked through some hills, some valleys together.
Facts.
And bro, I'm just so thankful for you. Yeah. Like I'm incredibly thankful for you. I think that you represent everything that a brother represents, from your accountability to your encouragement, to your support, you know what I'm saying, to your loyalty, to your challenging, like all of that. And we'll tap into that a little bit.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about your life before we met. So tell me a little bit about your background, what you were doing, kind of what space you were at in your life before we actually connected.
Yeah, man. So I'm from Portland, Oregon, born and raised out there. And so essentially grew up in a household with no father figure. Just like literally just street life was all I really knew growing up. So ended up joining gangs as a young kid, man, getting into fights and trouble and going in and out of jail. And then eventually ended up catching a case that actually sent me to prison. And so that was 2011 when I caught that case, ended up going to prison, went to prison for a year. And in that time frame, that was when I kind of like started building a relationship with God, started growing in my relationship with him. So when I got out of prison, I ended up actually moving out here to Dallas. And so when I came out here to Dallas, was kind of like on a different path, ready to kind of like give my life to the Lord and really like change up everything. So I say I got out here in 2012 and started serving in the community, started doing little stuff in ministry stuff that was kind of just on my heart. And it's crazy because while I was in prison, I remember the Lord telling me that he wanted to use me to disciple young men, right? Mm-hmm. Like to literally disciple young men. Because when I was banging and when I was in the streets doing everything that I was doing, I was already like a leader, right? Like I was already one of the leaders in my hood. I had a bunch of young people under me. So in that time frame, before I went to prison, I lost about like 3 of my young homeboys got killed, right? Mm-hmm. And so while I was in prison, I was like reflecting on that a lot. And so the Lord was kind of like, yo, I know that you feel like you failed them, but I want you to get out and I want you to make an impact and fight against the same things that you were teaching, the same way that you were leading people.
Let's back up for a second. So you said you called a case. What was the case for?
All right, so
why are you smiling?
Because it's funny. Okay. Nah, it ain't funny.
No, it's not funny.
So the last case that I caught was for a shooting.
Okay.
So basically, it was actually that whole day was a crazy day. And how you want me to go into the whole day?
Let's unpack it.
So this was the first day that I actually like really encountered God, right? Okay. So I'm standing on. I had just left one of my partner's houses. I'm standing on the corner at a bus stop, and I got a gun in my backpack. And mind you, this is 2011. My little homeboy Diego just got killed probably like couple days prior to this. So it was like war, you know what I mean? Like we were like in an active war. So I was like, you know, I'm ready. So I'm standing, it's like 12 o'clock. I'm standing on this street and I hear, whether it was audible or in my head, I can't really tell the difference, but I hear the Lord say, if you continue to live your life this way, you're going to die today. So I hear this and I'm just like, dang. And this just keeps repeating. If you continue to live your life the way, and I'm like starting to get convicted, and I feel it's like one of those moments where I feel like it's just me and God and nothing else matters. No one around me can say anything, right? And so essentially I was just like, I know. It's like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like having this conversation, and something told me to turn and look. So I turn and look down the street and I see a car coming my way, and I lock eyes with the driver, and it's somebody that I have been actively beefing with. Like that actually was said to have killed one of my homeboys. So I like, as soon as I seen him, I'm like, okay, I know this is about to go down. He turns, cause I'm like right real close to the corner. So as soon as I lock eyes with him, he sees me, he hits the corner and turns really hard. Car.
And
so
you already know.
okay,
You already know.
I know
it's
it's action. I know it's action. So I go to reach in my backpack and pull out my pistol, and the Lord said, if you pull out that gun, you're gonna die right now. And so I'm just like, bro, I don't know what to do. Like, so you want me to just let this man kill me? Because I know he's about to try to come for me. You know what I'm saying? I already know how this goes. So I'm like, okay, so you want me to just let this man kill me? So I'm like contemplating. He said again, if you pull out that gun, you're gonna die today. So I was like, all right, what do you want me to do? He said, get on your knees and worship me. So I literally fall on my knees, and it's broad daylight, bro, on a busy street. I fall on my knees and I kind of cry out to the Lord. And once I get up, I turn and look in the direction that the car turned, and the car pulls up to the block and then turns in my direction. And I'm watching all this happen. So as he drives by me, I'm just looking at him, and I see them in the car, bro. Like I know that it's him, but they were looking straight forward, didn't even look in my direction at all. So it was kind of like, I felt like God, like either, I don't know if he made me invisible. I don't know what the heck happened, but it was like, it was out of their mind. And so I'm like, after that, I'm like, man, this is crazy. I need to go home and chill. I'm like, let me get out of this. So I went to the house and I fell asleep. And then when I woke up, I put my pistol on my hip this time. And I was like, man, I didn't want to be alone. So I'm like, I'm finna go to the hood and just be out there with my family and stuff. So I head to my auntie house, who lived literally right in the hood. And so I on my way there, when I get off of the bus, so I got on the bus to get onto the train that would take me to my auntie's house. When I get off of the bus, some cats that we've been in shootouts for like probably 3 weeks prior. We kept like, we shot at them first, then they shot at us, and this whole retaliation thing was going. When I got off the bus, they were standing at the bus stop. 3 of them were literally standing right at the bus stop. So as soon as they see me, they pull out their pistols. So they have them like down at their like side. Sure. So I come out, I pull out I had to like jump behind this little thing and cock one in the head, bro. And I come out pointing, but it's still like, it's probably like 5 o'clock. So it's still daylight. And this is a bus stop that intersects with a train station. So it's like busy, like a lot of stuff going on right there. And so when I pull out, they start running. So this whole little, they run away. I didn't shoot, because I was just like, man, I'm not, like, there's people all right here. So I'm not gonna shoot. So I end up like walking to the train tracks. They end up, one of them that I didn't know ends up walking up to me. And I didn't necessarily know that he was even with them. Sure. So I turn around to look at where they're at. And when I turn back, dude has a pistol to my face, like literally dead in my face. So I don't know how I reacted so fast, but I grabbed his pistol. So we start wrestling over his pistol. And then I see his homeboys pull out their guns and start pointing it at us. So I put my finger on top of his finger and pointed it towards them and started shooting. So I let off all the shots on his pistol. And then I pulled out my pistol and started shooting at him.
Sure.
And then ran. He fell down and I ran. So I get to the house and stuff, and I'm getting calls from all the homies like, bro, somebody just got killed on 122nd, like saying all this stuff. And I'm in my mind, I had just had this encounter with God, but then I'm like, I don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I went all the way back into that same thought pattern of like, bro, because I used to literally be in this space where like I wanted to kill somebody. Like that was something that I like in the hood, bro, when you really banging, like that's something that is like, you know, that's how you get your rank. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, bro, you catch a body, bro, and it's like there's a different level of respect.
Sure.
So that was something that like even growing up from the first time that I like met somebody that I knew had killed somebody, it was something that I was like, yo, I want that same power.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So that was something that I was longing for. So in that moment, I went right back to that same thought process where
you
like,
were hungry. It was like you were hungry
exactly.
Hungry for death.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
In order to get that respect.
Exactly.
How many young men do you believe are actually going through that same type of thought process in the hood?
I feel like anyone that's a part of a gang, for sure, that's something that they're all thinking about, bro. Sure. For sure.
Sure.
And it's wicked, bro. It is. When you get out of it and you look back and think about like some of those times where it's like, bro, like we out here killing each other. You know what I'm saying? We out here killing our own people and really like desiring for that. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's a wickedness to it, bro. That the enemy definitely plotted on us with.
For sure. Yeah. So you go through that and you end up catching a case for that shootout. Yeah. It was on camera.
It was all on camera.
It was on camera.
I remember you showing me the video.
Yeah, I remember you showing me the video of the case because I remember when I first met you, I was like, this dude not. Yeah. I'm playing. I remember you telling me that you caught the case. And I'm like, dog, you wasn't a shooter like that. You was like, you want to see? All right. So I remember you showing me the video, crazy video. So you end up catching the case. You end up going to jail. Did you have any type of encounter with God in jail or?
Yeah, man. So I feel like in jail was that because I had just had that encounter, and then between that encounter and when I went to jail was about 2 months. I was on the run. They ended up telling on me. Okay. So that's how I ended up getting caught up on the case. And they had
who snitched
the guys who pulled the guns out on me, bro. They all told on me, bro. All three of them told on me. But they had me on video too. So it's like when they pulled me down to the courthouse, bro, they like showed me the video. I'm like, damn.
Right. I'm not saying I support the no snitch culture. I'm not saying that. I was just curious who told, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, they told them.
You know what I'm saying?
They pulled out the guns and told them. That's
at the same time.
That's hella lame.
I'm done.
But yeah, man. So in that process of being in jail, bro, like in the county when I was fighting my case, it was like God was speaking to me through that whole time period. It was like everything was lovely, bro. I was in my Bible every single day. You know what I'm saying? And like really God was like growing me and speaking to me about what he wanted to do with me. But when I got to prison, the penitentiary is different, bro. Mm-hmm. And from county to the penitentiary is like a whole different game, bro, for sure. So when I got to the penitentiary, it was kind of like still them politics of gang politics where I walked literally 5 minutes into the penitentiary, bro. I got ran up on by a bunch of bloods, bro, and was like, they thought I was there when one of their homeboys got killed. So it was like from that moment kind of like pushed me back a little bit.
Sure.
And I ended up spending the last 6 months while I was in prison. The last 6 months I spent in the hole.
Gotcha.
You know, on solitary confinement. So
because you probably were going to war in the
prison. I was in there fighting.
Yeah, for sure. So. All right, so you're in prison. You get out of prison. What year was it that you got out?
2012.
You got out in 2012, and I know that you had mentioned that in 2012, you know, you had a desire to begin to serve in the community. Yeah. Were you doing any type of serving?
So I was just at church. I was just serving in church. I hadn't did any community work until I met you.
Gotcha. All right. So the story picks up. We end up meeting. I don't remember the first time that we met.
I don't either.
Okay, I know we met in 2013.
No, I do.
Okay.
We met at your sister's birthday party.
Okay.
It was in your backyard or something like that.
Okay.
I can't. Yeah, something like that. I met. We met in 2013, and then next time was when we with Justine at the leadership meeting for counterculture.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So so when you reference counterculture, for those that don't know, obviously counterculture was a organization that was created to meet the needs of the homeless, the elderly, and the incarcerated. I actually started counterculture back in 2011 because I wanted to make an impact in the lives of people that I felt were forgotten. So those populations to me were the homeless, the elderly, and the incarcerated. And you know, it came from like a faith-based biblical like, you know, background where, you know, Jesus said, I was hungry and you fed me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was in prison and you visited me. I was sick and you comforted me. So I literally took that verse and brought it to life in the mission of counterculture. So 2011, started counterculture to meet those demands. And to be honest with you, probably one of the most impactful periods of my life when it comes to serving, when it comes to reaching people, when it comes to some of the relationships, you know, i.e. you, right, that came out of that. So what was it about because you came to a birthday party, but then you ended up showing up to counterculture. What was it about the counterculture mission, or how did you even end up kind of connecting with counterculture?
Right. So Justine pulled me in.
Shout out to Justine.
One of our good friends. Justine, solid person. So she was one of the first people I met when I moved out here. She told me about the meeting. I honestly didn't even want to go because I hadn't known anything about counterculture at all at that point. But I ended up pulling up to the leadership meeting and just listen to your vision, listen to you talk about stuff. And mind you, like this is 2013.
2013. Yeah.
So I'm still like, I love the Lord, but I'm still like in that, like, especially when it came to dudes.
You still hood?
Yeah, I'm still hood, bro. And when it came to dudes, I didn't really have any desire to rock with any brothers at all. Like I was on some different time.
You still like that?
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm playing.
I rock with my brothers now. But yeah, at that point, I didn't really care to rock with anybody like that. But listening to you, bro, and then you being the same age as me, where I'm from, everybody's banging. Right. So I hadn't really met too many brothers that was like still cool, but like, you know what I mean, doing that thing, bro, and then actually love the Lord and ministry and stuff. So that was a appeal off the back. You know
I really don't know how cool I was back then.
You probably
I look back at some of those photos and I'm like, bro,
we both look back at
what are those?
We both look back at them.
I'm playing. We was looking at some photos today.
Yeah. So that definitely drew me. But then what you guys were doing, bro, like I think we did. Yeah, I remember, bro. The first event that I went to, we did a homeless outreach. So the meeting was at Men and Nehemiah.
Yes, shout out to Men and Nehemiah. Right. They were the first ones to open up their space to us. Right. A drug and rehab addiction program for men.
Yeah.
They were the first ones to open up their space for us free of charge to like begin to serve.
Yeah.
And we rocked with them for many years. Yeah. I know, preparing hot dogs and sandwiches and stuff.
Right.
To go feed the homeless. And the dope thing about the Men and Nehemiah, not to cut you off, obviously.
No, you good, bro.
The dope thing about the Men and Nehemiah is that they were positioned in an area that had the highest population of homeless people in Dallas in that 1 square mile. Yeah. So I know, like, we used to go to like 3 prominent homeless, shelters in that area. Bro, I miss that.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. So we had went to Austin Street Shelter that day, outside of Austin Street Shelter. And bro, just passing out, I think it was hot dogs, water, and just being able to pray with the people, bro, and just kind of like that whole experience, bro, was like, I'm locked in. Yeah. And I feel like from that moment, I joined leadership team on that. And then, man, once we got into the prison stuff, bro, that was the juvenile facilities, bro, that was my heart, bro.
Was that your favorite? I was about to say, is that your favorite part?
Bro.
Why?
Yes, bro. Because you could, bro, the stuff that we were doing inside there was, first off, it was dope. We would have concerts in there, bring artists in, Christian artists that would rap, and then we would kind of share a word. So that part, being able to see the young men look up to us and be excited about the Lord. Yeah. Bro, we like literally in that time period, bro, we reached thousands, bro. Like for sure. Thousands of young men, bro. And like just being able to see that impact, them being able to feel that love. And then also kind of wishing that I had that. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff. Like, bro, that wasn't happening where I'm from, bro. I was in and out of juveniles, and that never happened, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on for 1 second. So let me ask you this. Do you feel that the reason why you were so passionate about that particular area of service was because you had a passion to be what you never had?
Facts. And I understood the lack. I understood personally what it felt like not to have anybody positive in your life at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew how that felt. So I understood how important it was to get to that space. So yeah, for sure, bro.
Yeah, for sure. No, bro, you were an extremely strong leader in that space, right? Like that's an area. Even if I wasn't there, I knew that it was solid because you had just as large of a passion for it as I did.
Yeah,
and that's like very rare to find when you are leading in any capacity to have somebody that's walking alongside you that is as passionate about that particular space as you are, right? Yeah. So I think that was dope. I also feel like that was like the beginning of us building that brotherhood.
Yeah, man.
As we served together, as we were like active in the service of others, we kind of begin to develop a bond and a brotherhood through that process. Can you think of what you would consider to be one of the most impactful moments in that time serving in that capacity for you? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Man, I would have to say though. So you gave me my first speaking opportunity that I had, right? The first sermon that I ever preached was because of the opportunity you gave me. So that was definitely the most impactful. I think we did a tour. We went to Henry Wade, Gainesville. Yeah, we went to Henry Wade in Gainesville, but we did like 5 or 6 different services. AHA came out, and so that experience of like being able to speak for the first time in front of people, and it was like we probably spoke to like 700-800 people that weekend. So that part, having that, but then also their response. Like I from that moment I seen like, okay, one, God definitely wants to use me in this area, but then 2, like that us being obedient and listening to that call, like it yields results. You know what I mean? So like there was, probably over 300 people gave their lives to Christ that day.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So that was definitely the one for me. Yeah, for sure.
Do you feel as though you changed in any way, specifically through that period of servitude?
Yeah, bro. So one of the things that I think about this often too, since I've been a believer, the first time that I would say I had like a mentor or even a discipler was probably like 2 years ago, and it was for a short span of time. And I've been saved since. It's been 10 plus years, right? So the first time that I actually had mentorship was just recently. So all that time that we were doing this stuff, bro, it was like God was teaching and mentoring me through those processes. So through serving, you know what I mean? Having to prepare a message. So I got to get in the word, like all of that type of stuff. It was like leading by example. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, when you and I say this all the time, bro, the streets do a way better job of discipling than the church does, even though it's for a negative outcome, right? But it's like they are intentional. My big homies used to come and pick me up every day. They'll teach me how to scale the weed, scale the dope, teach me how to load up a gun, shoot at somebody, bang on somebody, all that type of stuff is like a day-to-day, like we gonna take you and do this, right? But when you come to the church, you don't really get that too often. Some people do, but a lot of people's experience isn't someone walking with them day to day. But through counterculture, it was like, bro, we're bringing people and say, okay, this is how you pray for somebody. This is what you do. So I learned all of the essentials through serving. through straight action, being thrown straight out there. Hey, bro, because you didn't help me with the message. You just say, hey, bro, prepare a message, be ready. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, yeah, I got you. You know what I mean? So it's like that whole process, bro, learning and growing through that. Definitely, I feel like it discipled me in a way. Not necessarily you, but just that environment and that experience for sure, bro.
Right. Yeah. No, I would never.
You definitely was.
I would never little bro you. I would never little bro you. He like just so y'all know, it wasn't you, but I learned somewhere, somehow.
You created the opportunity though, for sure, bro. You 100%. Created the opportunity, and it definitely caused me to grow, for sure.
Yeah, 100%, bro. Nah, bro, I'm thankful. You're definitely a strong leader now, speaker. You know what I'm saying, motivator. I know that at this stage in your life, a lot of, men look to you for guidance. They trust what you have to say. They trust your wisdom. So that's to be applauded. Here's the deal, right? We get to this place, but we haven't always been at this place, right? Facts. So I truly believe that the mark of brotherhood, friendship, even sisterhood, I believe that that's forged in the fire. And I believe that adversity is what brings that out of us, right? There's actually a verse in the Bible that says a brother is born in adversity. Some translations say for adversities, right? So I truly believe that adversity is what binds people together, right? Anybody will rock with you when you're up. Anybody will rock with you when you're successful. Anybody will rock with you when things are going well, and you're finding a lot of success, right? But it's the darkness that reveals who's really with us, right? Yeah, bro. And so we've walked through some dark times together. Let's talk about it a little bit. Yeah, right. Man. Let's talk about it a little bit. And we could either talk about your darkness and my darkness first. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We both talk about both of them.
There's a lot of darkness.
No, 100%. So let's talk about yours because it was further back than mine, right? Mine was a little bit more recent. So yeah, we walked through some darkness. Do you kind of want to give a little bit of a backdrop of some of the things that we walked through with you together?
Yeah, man. So I'll say when I say like, I feel like where our relationship got rocky was right around the time that counterculture ended. Okay. Because there was counterculture ended for y'all, but it didn't end for me.
Gotcha.
Like y'all stopped coming to serve and stuff. You had got married, bro. So you had a lot of stuff going on. So it wasn't like I'm done serving type thing, but it was just like you prioritized your marriage, you know what I'm saying, and what you were going through in that moment. Yeah. But for me, bro, I was still in prisons every other week. Yeah. I was speaking at McFadden, bro, every other week. Yeah. So I was still like being really involved, but I was doing it by myself. Yeah, so I do, when I look back at it, I do feel like, man, I probably felt some type of way where it's like, okay, bro, y'all started with me and I'm still holding it down, but y'all ain't really here no more. So I think that kind of like put the little damper. And we were roommates right before you ended up getting married, right? So it's like we had been from this really close space. Right. Then you get married, then counterculture slows down. So we kind of like ripped away from each other in that. So I'll say that's kind of where the distance happened. Sure. For sure.
For sure. Yeah, no. It was the seasons, right? Yeah. The seasons where sometimes other people, other things, take priority, which sucks sometimes, right? Especially when you rock so closely with people. So we kind of had that little distance. When did we actually reconnect? Not it's not even that we lost connection, but
no, we were still talking.
Yeah, when did we actually not reconnect, but when did we it's so crazy because I know that there were some things that you were going through that I didn't even know you were going through. Bro.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. So just to go into that. So I think what happened with me, bro, I think it was around like 2017, 18. My cousin got shot and paralyzed. So I went out to see him while he was in the hospital. And that just kind of like shook me up because he was one of the closest people to me in my life growing up and all that, right? So when I came back to the city, I was just I was I was just in a whole different like vibe and thought process. So essentially I had went from like, I guess, walking in purity or trying to keep myself, that I ended up when that situation came down, I ended up like falling off from that whole path, ended up meeting somebody, got her pregnant, and then she ended up losing the baby, and it just turned into a bunch of drama from that situation. And so I think I was just in a space where like I didn't have any mentors at that time at all, bro. Nobody that I know, and really not even a strong community of brothers at that time either. So I was kind of like fighting through this stuff by myself, bro, and it was definitely tough. So that for me, that was that was like the darkest path that I went through since I've been saved. Like that was like, I was just in a whole different space.
Yeah, no, 100%, bro. And the misconception for a lot of people, right, is that when we get saved or we come into a relationship with God, right, that we don't relapse.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's definitely not the case in my life. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And and when I say relapse, I'm saying that, there are moments, bro, where we fall. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but I remember you were going through what you were going through. And I wanted to be there as much as I could. I remember there was a moment where you began to have just some anxiety attacks, or I think some of what you were going through in your life at that time was just affecting your health.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And I remember you were in the hospital, I believe, at the time, and I came to visit. And I felt like it was at that moment where I realized, like, yo, I got to be more present.
Yeah, bro, that's crazy. So the anxiety attack this is crazy. So part of the anxiety attacks started from when I got her pregnant, right? Like the day after I had an anxiety attack. So that had kind of started, but then when the anxiety attacks, that was in 2018, 17, when I first had an anxiety attack. 2020 came around and I started getting them more frequently. But like what I found out was that, so, and this is, bro, this is crazy, right? So when you have PTSD, which I had PTSD from banging and just being in that street life.
Yeah.
As I started to heal from that PTSD, prior to like that process of healing, I was still in my trauma, and the trauma was normal to me, right? So it was not strange to my body to be in fight or flight mode, right? Like that was normal. That was a normal space that I had lived in for friggin' more than half of my life at that point, right? So once I started to heal from those things, my body became more aware of what I was feeling. So that turned into me having these anxiety attacks, because I was talking to my therapist and he was like, bro, you've always had anxiety. You just never were able to actually feel it because you weren't in a safe enough space to actually feel what was going on with you. So like going through that healing process woke that up. So then I started feeling anxiety about all kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It was just like, yeah. So that's kind of how that process ended up playing out. For sure.
No, for sure. There were probably even stages of our relationship, man, where you felt like I wasn't even present.
Thanks.
You know what I'm saying? Going through that. And a part of it was, to be completely honest, like part of it was not knowing, right? But I wasn't really, at that time, I wasn't maybe close enough in proximity to know everything that was going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, like when you're not close, you're not close, right? You're not going to seek somebody out to tell them all the details, whatever's going on in your life, right? Yeah. And sometimes it could be shame or whatever the case may be. I know for me, with everything that I encountered in my marriage, for me, some of it was shame, some of it was saving face. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I was the least transparent that I had ever been in my marriage.
Yeah.
Right. Which is odd because prior to that, you know, I was extremely transparent. Now I dare to say that at this stage of my life, I'm more transparent than I've ever been.
Yeah.
Right. But at that stage in my life, during my marriage, I was not. Right.
Yeah.
And a part of that was because I knew I wasn't living the way that I should have been living. Right.
Yeah.
And I wasn't moving the way that I should have been moving. And one of the things I discovered is that whatever secrets we bury will bury us. Right. Like whatever secrets we bury will bury us. Whether that's burying us as far as our self-confidence, whether that's burying our self-esteem, maybe that's burying our ability to see ourselves the way that we should see ourselves because we're not living the way that we should live.
Yeah.
Right. But whatever we reveal, we can heal.
Yeah.
Right. And so I know there were stages in both of our lives and in my life more recently where I didn't give you the opportunity in that space to be the brother that you could have been. I remember sharing something. I remember sharing something with somebody who I was not as close to, right? That I thought was a safe space, and they ended up sharing that information, right? When in actuality, that probably should have been you, because you had the capacity at that stage in my life to handle my dirt. You know what I'm saying? Where that other individual didn't have that capacity. And so things really got messy, which really caused me to shut down. Like, man, I'm not telling anybody else anything because if I do, then there is a possibility that it can get out, you know what I'm saying? And not from the horse's mouth and not the way that I wanted to communicate it. So that caused me to further shut down in that relationship.
And I just remembered something. So I remember around the time when you had first got married, I remember us having a conversation. And I remember you telling me that, and I don't know, I feel like this is probably something that's really common in like church settings, where it's like you didn't want to speak to single people about your marriage. And so it was that like, bro, like, okay, I know we're close, but there's certain things I'm not going to talk to you because you're single and you know what I mean? And I remember feeling in that moment like, all right, bro, you know what I mean? Like I'm here though, you know what I'm saying? And
you like, yo, I'm rooting for you.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you.
I hope that works out for you.
Yeah,
that was dumb.
Facts.
That was dumb.
Yeah, it was. It was hella stupid. I remember being irritated with it. Like,
somebody else said that to me. Somebody else said that to me. And I regurgitated it. That was dumb. That was dumb as hell.
Yeah, bro. No, so yeah, I remember, bro. I remember that time of what you just spoke about, bro. And I remember feeling like, even when you told me about it, what happened, where you just like, bro, I shared this, and he ended up going back and saying everything. I remember feeling like, nigga, well, you know
that should have been me.
You should have shared it with me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
100%. I think it's important for people to understand who their safe places are.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like a safe place makes transparency easier.
Yeah.
But when you're in a position where you share something with somebody and they were not a safe space, and it makes it difficult for you to be honest about where you are, who you are, based upon the fact that you've been violated in the past. So now you have the shell shock of being violated. You don't want to be violated anymore. So it's important to understand who those safe spaces are, so that you can be completely transparent. And the thing about me in my relationship, I hid out of shame. I hid out of fear. And I also hid because in some ways, and we talked about this, in some ways, I didn't always have the proper example of what that transparency looked like, right? I would have people in my life or people that I looked to, and they were transparent to a point. Right? It was almost like veiled transparency. Where you're telling me what's going on, but you're not really telling me what's going on. Or you're telling me what's going on, but you're telling it in such a way where I really don't know where you're at. Or maybe you're telling me what's going on, but everything is past tense and nothing is present tense. In actuality, you struggled with some of the same things that I struggled with, right? So understanding your safe spaces are important. And I did a poor job of implementing that truth in my life, right? Fast forward. I'm at a stage in my life where I'm more transparent than I've ever been. As a matter of fact, one of the most recent forms of transparency, you were very instrumental in being a catalyst for that transparency. So I remember talking to you and telling you like, yo, like my plan is to one day You know what I'm saying? One day, go to my ex-wife and tell her everything.
Yeah.
Right? I said, I think that day is coming. I think that it's important. Um, but I was like, I don't see it being anytime soon because, I'm sure she really don't want to hear from me.
Yeah.
Right. And you said, bro, listen, I hear what you're saying, but I want to just challenge you on that a little bit. Well, I think it might be important for you to tell her sooner than later.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, that's dumb as hell. Like, we're no longer married. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're at this time, we're probably a year and a half divorced.
Right.
I'm not gonna go to her a year and a half, after the divorce and tell her everything. That's the dumbest thing, right? And I kind of fought you on that. Like, bro, that's stupid. Even though I've been living this life of transparency, right? Like I've been living this life of transparency in front of my friends, my family, you know what I'm saying? But I just didn't want to open up those old wounds. And so we had that conversation and then I deaded it. Like, I'm not doing that. That's dumb as hell.
Yeah.
I remember maybe 2 weeks later, I remember waking up in the morning and I was uneasy. I remember I felt like somebody was sitting on my chest. Like I was just uneasy. And I felt like God said, you need to reach out to your ex-wife and tell her everything. Now I'm arguing with God. I'm like, God, that's the dumbest thing I heard. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not going back to my ex-wife and telling her everything. That's just stupid, right? I kind of let it go. I remember that night, same thing. I laid down in bed. I don't know what it was about the bed. It's like every time I laid down, God was like, I got you back. now, shall we continue the conversation, right? Laid back in the bed, same thing. Felt like somebody was on my chest. Felt like God was telling me, yo, you need to tell her everything. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I was just waiting for the feeling to go away. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm tripping. Bro, 3 consecutive days, whenever I would wake up in the morning, God would say, yo, you need to tell your ex-wife everything. Go to sleep at night. You need to tell your ex-wife everything. Got to the point where I wasn't sleeping. That third night, got to the point where I wasn't sleeping well.
Yeah.
And so I remember waking up in the morning like, all right, God, look, I'm going to do it. I remember shooting her a long text message, just sharing from my heart. Like, yo, I take responsibility for the demise of our marriage. Yeah. I was not the man that I should have been in our marriage, because of X, Y, and Z. I apologize for any hurt, pain I caused you, and I just started running down the list, right? No response. Then God was like, screenshot it and send it to, your pastor, who's Tim. Send it to Tim. Shout out to Tim Ross.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And so I screenshotted it and I sent it to him. And that was in the morning. By that evening, he sent me a voice note. And he said, bro, this is what you feel that God has told you to do. Then you need to tell her in person.
Yeah.
He said, I've already talked to her. She's open to meeting with you. If you truly believe that this is what God has told you to do, then what you said in that text message, you need to communicate to her in person.
Yeah.
If you're open to doing it, I'll facilitate the meeting. She's open to meeting with you. I was like, Thought about it for a second. I said, all right, bro, I'll do it. Probably one of the most, if not the most difficult meeting of my life, to sit in front of someone that you committed your life to and to confess to them that you messed up in every way.
Yeah.
Right? And to sit in front of someone who has mentored you since you were 17 years old.
Yeah.
And to apologize to him and let him know that you did not honor the commitment that you made to him to be accountable. Yeah. Right? But Dre, I promise you, I don't believe that would have happened had we not had the conversation that we had.
Yeah.
Right?
Bro, it wouldn't have happened had you not gotten to a space that you were being real with yourself and real with others either. Because I remember a period where I didn't feel like you were being real transparent in your interactions with people and with me specifically, right? So that's one thing that I do want to acknowledge, bro, is like you put in the work, you got to a space where you were able to say, yo, this is where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember hearing certain things for the first time out of you that is just like, okay, this is Nate. Like this is the true who you are. So you getting to that space where you were being real with yourself allowed for those type of opportunities. But had you like still held back, bro, we wouldn't have been able to have that conversation that would have led to me challenging you. And on top of that, I probably wouldn't have felt as comfortable with challenging you. You know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't have felt like nothing would have came out of it. But I heard your heart. I knew you were in a space where you were being real with yourself and what you were going through. So it's like, nah, bro, like, yeah, you need to handle that. You know what I'm saying? And you did kind of reject it when I first said, he was like, bro, no, it'll happen someday.
I'm like, I don't know
when,
at some point.
Somewhere down the line, right. I'm like, nah, bro, you probably should do it sooner. You're like, nah. So then when you hit me back and you told me, I think you might have sent me the text message that you sent as well. I was just like, bro, I'm proud of you, bro. Like legit, that showed me, that was the moment where I knew. And then, okay, I'm gonna be honest. Even in like what happened in your marriage and how that rolled out, some of the stuff gave me a little skewed view of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and obviously, bro, I messed up and done some stuff as well, right? But then it was like, it started to make me question certain things about your character and stuff like that, right? So then, walking with you, even though you know I had questions or whatever, it was just like, bro, you my brother. We've been walking together for a while, so I'm still gonna walk with you. But so once I seen that, that's where once I seen you be in a position where you were able to open up to what was going on, that's when I knew, like, okay, bro is really on this path of trying to get right. You know what I'm saying? And there was a part of me that like walked with caution before that moment. Where it's just like, okay, I don't know how is this, like, I don't know where Nate's at. Is this the same person? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And so in you opening up and like showing that you are on that path and then responding in the way that you did, I'm like, okay, God is like working on his heart for real. And he's not steering the ship no more on his own. Like, he's now submitted and surrendered to God and being honest and true with where he's at. You know what I'm saying? That was pivotal, bro.
100%, bro. I agree. I think the most important person for us to be honest with is ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to be honest with other people if we're not honest with ourselves first.
Yeah.
Right? So honesty with self. Once we're honest with ourselves, it makes it easier for us. Well, not easy. Well, it makes it easier for us to be honest with God.
Yeah.
And honest with people around us.
Yeah.
Right? And so I got to that point. But, bro, I want to say thank you.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for not walking away when you could have walked away.
Yeah.
Right? I want to say thank you for not walking away during the times when I was dishonest with you. Yeah. I want to say thank you for not walking away when everyone, I'm not going to say everyone, but a lot of people did, right? Yeah. And understandably so, right? Everybody's not called to walk with me the way that you've been called to walk with me, right? I want to say thank you for challenging me. I want to say thank you for being the true definition of what a brother is. You know what I'm saying? I want to say thank you for just being here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Your impact on my life, especially over the last like couple of years, has been a gift to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you've been a gift from God to me. So I want to say, you know what I'm saying, in front of the world, I want to say publicly, bro, I appreciate you. I appreciate your presence in my life. I do not take your presence in my life for granted.
Yeah.
And wherever I go,
let's get it.
You go.
Let's get it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Wherever God takes me, bro, I plan for you to be there.
Let's get it.
You know what I'm saying? And so, and hopefully vice versa, of course.
Yeah, no,
you know
facts,
what I'm saying?
Bro. Facts.
But yeah, I truly believe that that honesty with self is so important. Yeah. And that's what masculine vulnerability is all about, right? Being able to, like David, acknowledge, I've messed up. One of the things I love, David is like the perfect picture of masculine vulnerability to me because he was a king. He was a man of war. He was highly respected. He was a conqueror. He was a warrior. He was feared. You know what I'm saying? He was dominant in that space. But he was also someone who was very much so in touch with his emotions. Yeah. He wrote poetry. He wrote music. He was a musician. He was hypersensitive when it came to like things pertaining to God.
Yeah.
And so when I think about someone who's a picture of masculine vulnerability, I think about David.
Yeah.
When David fell with Bathsheba, he broke all the commandments in the process of trying to cover up his sin of getting her pregnant and killing her husband in order to cover up. He broke all 10 commandments, and he came to a point in his, he came to a point where he was just like, God, I messed up. You know what I'm saying? Against you and you alone have I sinned. You know what I'm saying? And so for a man to be a king, to be a warrior, to be as successful, to be a conqueror as he was, but to be sensitive enough to say, look, as a man, I confess that I've messed up. I think that as men, we need to be able to do that.
Yeah.
We place such an emphasis on the, going and getting a bag and, going and conquering and being successful.
Yeah.
But there's a side of success that's emotional and spiritual as well. And when we tap into that and we say, listen, God, I've messed up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm acknowledging my fault. Yeah, I've done everything wrong up until this point, but I'm at a place in my life where I really want to do things right.
Yeah.
I believe that God honors that.
Yeah. So what was the moment for you that you feel like caused you to kind of shift from that space of like wanting to hide behind, fake truths or whatever the case may be, to like actually being vulnerable and real with yourself and with others? Like what do you feel like shifted in that, and how did you get to that space where you're like, I'm about to embrace this?
You know what's so interesting, bro? I feel like it was a progressive thing for me. I feel like over time, God just began to like speak to me, right? He began to show me myself.
Yeah.
I think a part of it was just being alone with God and him showing me like, yo, this is not necessarily who you are, but this is what you've done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so getting to a place where over time, God is like, yeah, you messed up here.
Yeah.
And you really messed up here too.
Yeah.
And you really were not responsible with this particular relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you told a lot of half truths, which are really just lies. You know what I'm saying? I feel like for me, it was just like a process of, I felt like over time, God just began to speak to me like moment by moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I got to the point where I was just like, you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I also got to a point where I got tired of hiding.
Yeah,
bro, I got tired of hiding. It got to the point where I'm just like, yo, for me, the ugly truth is better than, you know what I'm saying, a concealed secret.
Yeah.
Like the ugly truth. Like you get to a point where that secret, those secrets begin to weigh on you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you go outside and you just don't feel like a real one anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just like, bro, like, I'm at a point where I really don't care what anybody thinks about me. And it also gets to the point, man, if you let it, where the speculation becomes worse than the truth.
Yeah.
Bro, I started hearing stories about me and I'm just like, bro, it wasn't even all of that. You know what I'm saying? So if that's what y'all think, then I guess it's better for me to just, you know what I'm saying, tell the truth. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I heard all kinds of stuff, you know what I'm saying? And some of it was true and then some of it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I was just like, bro, let me just go ahead and set the record straight and just be honest with myself, acknowledge that, yo, I messed up. You know what I'm saying? Tell the truth and just move on. Nobody can hold you captive to your own truth.
Yeah.
Especially when you tell it. You know what I'm saying? When other people tell your truth, you know what I'm saying, and you haven't told it,
facts,
they can hold you captive to it. But when you tell your own truth, you know what I'm saying, and you let the chips fall where they may, what can anybody say?
Yeah, bro. I'm thinking about how we get into that space as men where we don't feel like it's okay to be real with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like where it's like that trust with others is broken to the point where like only person like we can really be vulnerable around is like by ourselves. But then even in that moment, like it feels like a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, bro, there is so much freedom in like being able to express yourself. There's so much freedom in being able to like tell truths and speak and just embrace who you really are. And I know what it feels like as well to be in that space where I'm just like so caught up in the struggle that I like try to hide from the truth. You know what I mean? So like that freedom that comes, bro, is powerful, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Powerful. For sure. I think that culture for a lot of people shapes, especially for men, how they view vulnerability.
Yeah.
Right. So for a lot of men view vulnerability as a weakness when in actuality it's a strength. We hear men, when they're growing up, their moms or dad says, "Boy, don't cry."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Only girls cry, right? Yeah. And so in our minds, we develop this hard stop that says that if I feel emotional or if I get emotional, that it's a sign of weakness or femininity.
Yeah.
Right? When in actuality, bro, Jesus wept.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, who said that crying was a weakness? Yeah. Who said that honesty and vulnerability was a weakness? Right? So we have to be careful not to allow culture to shape our perspective of vulnerability, transparency, honesty, accountability, right? And so I know for me, for a long time, I allowed those things to kind of drive and steer my perspective, even of manhood.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure, bro. I really believe that the lack of like being able to embrace our emotions is, especially when it comes to like the hood, to the hood and just like that lifestyle, it's like it's the reason why men are so violent.
Sure.
It is. It points directly to it, bro. You have no other outlet. You know what I'm saying? So then someone says the wrong thing and you've been holding on to these emotions for the last 15 years. And in a moment, someone says the wrong thing and you go crazy. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that buildup is real. And it's affecting mental health everywhere for men. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like we're being affected by that consistently. So it doesn't, sometimes it feels like it's weak, but the strength is that release. You know what I mean? There's strength in that ability to like let go of hurt and pain and really embrace, the truth and let that out. Like there's a strength that comes in yourself. It builds you up and makes you stronger to endure certain things. But when you keep getting weighed down with, all these issues and all these things and you have no outlet for them, that weight of that thing gets too heavy sometimes. Yeah. So you can't even function at your proper self. You can't function at the top of your abilities because you got all of these different things going on that are blocking all of the things that you should be experiencing in those moments. You know what I mean?
100%, bro. Listen, the reason why for a lot of men, they are a ticking time bomb is because they are not utilizing the mechanism that God designed for us to be able to relieve stress.
Yeah, facts.
God designed for men to cry.
Yeah, and the reality is a lot of times when men get to that space, it takes something tragic.
Yes.
Like I've seen cats that have murdered people that you see are the toughest people on the planet, you would think, but let something like a family member or someone close to them get killed and they weep. And it's like, why does it take this moment for you to actually experience? I've talked to men that have said, bro, I ain't cried in 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like they wear it as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And when I hear that, I hear, bro, you haven't released those stress hormones through crying in 10 years, right? Yeah. Our bodies were literally designed to release stress hormones through crying. So for a lot of people, they have stress pinned up. A lot of men, they have stress built up and pinned up because they refuse to use the mechanism that God designed for them to use in order to release that stress. Yeah. Right. So resisting the parameters that toxic masculinity has placed around us so that we can flourish in who God has designed us to be is key. And so, bro, I'm a proud advocate of masculine vulnerability.
Same.
And I'm going to stand with that for sure.
Yeah, no, it's important, bro. For sure.
Bro, I love you. And you know that as your brother, I'm always rooting for you.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And I want to see you become all that God has designed for you to become. And I know that you're well on your way. I know that there's more to come, but you're well on your way. So, bro, as your brother, I am proud of the man that you are. As your brother, I affirm you in every way. You know what I'm saying? And as your brother, I support you in every way. And I want to see you win on every level.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel the same way, bro. For sure. And I'm definitely proud of you walking in this path. And it's crazy, bro, because the fruit is coming out of that. You know what I'm saying? All the things that God is doing in your life right now is a direct result of you like walking in that truth and like being yourself, bro. And so I definitely am proud of you and all the stuff that God is doing in your life, bro. And I'm excited for more because I know this is just the beginning, bro.
Yeah,
This is
bro.
just the beginning.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, bro, for blessing the podcast.
Yes, sir.
The first official
Yes, sir.
rooting for you.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
You know what I'm saying, podcast episode. Thank you so much for blessing the podcast, and it's not gonna be the last time.
Let's get it, bro.
Let's go.
Get it. Yeah.